protester outside the Newt Gingrich fundraiser at the Willard Hotel in Washington last night spotted O'Reilly, who was by coincidence staying there, leaving for the short walk to the White House and its Christmas party. That protester, Brandon Lane, joins me in a moment. His full video begins with O'Reilly saying, "Leave me alone right now." It ends with O'Reilly trying to get the guy arrested, and in the middle, there's an umbrella.
Leave me alone right now. Mr. O'Reilly, were you at Gingrich's fundraiser? Mr. O'Reilly, hey!
Hey, sorry about that.
Excuse me?
Mr. O'Reilly, were you at Gingrich's fundraiser? Sir, I did not do anything. I said, Mr. O'Reilly, were you at Gingrich's fundraiser? And he hit me with his umbrella.
The umbrella goes in, umbrella goes out. Never a miscommunication. As you saw at the end, O'Reilly, who once threatened to send police to the home of a guy who phoned into his long-since canceled radio show and mentioned my name, who once tried to convince Long Island detectives to investigate one of their own who O'Reilly believed was having an affair with his wife, trying to get a guard at the White House gate to take Brandon Lane into custody on a charge of having annoyed a celebrity. O'Reilly addressed the incident, saying he was thinking about the John Lennon assassination, or at least he addressed what he'd like people to believe about the incident on his program this evening.
Last night I was walking over to the White House for the annual media party there. All of a sudden, some guy runs up behind me, screaming, comes out of the rain, doesn't identify himself. I was with my assistant from Fox News, and we were startled. I told the guy to get lost, but he came closer and closer, armed with a cell phone camera. When he was about a foot away, I turned and shielded myself and my assistant with an umbrella. At this point, we were just a few feet away from the White House gate. The Secret Service stopped the man, and we find out that he's an Occupy protester. I then asked the service to call the D.C. police because I thought the guy was out of control. The police arrive. Discussions take place. But there's no criminal statute in Washington unless a person actually touches you, which the guy did not. Now, this man could have had a knife. I didn't know what he was going to do. I didn't know who he was. But in the District of Columbia, I couldn't stop him. I mean, I felt like the Penguin in the Batman show. Remember that, Burgess Meredith? Shielding myself with an umbrella. And I'm lucky I had it. Otherwise, I might have punched the guy, and I would have been arrested.
Interestingly, he did not show the video. One final point about that video merits a quick revisitation.
Excuse me?
Mr. O'Reilly, were you at Gingrich's fundraiser?
In Washington, the political winds are Satan's breaths, but every once in a long while they blow kindly for us. O'Reilly's carefully guarded, never photographed baldness, fully captured by Mr. Lane's camera. Comb over, ask not for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Now, as promised, Brandon Lane of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, of the group Wisconsin Jobs Now, who was at the Willard last night as part of Take Back the Capitol. Mr. Lane, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Well, more importantly, how are your injuries? Have you been assured they're not life-threatening?
I'm fine. My feet finally dried out.
Good.
You know, I had some wet socks for a little while, but I'm okay.
He said, you heard the tape, he said he was shielding himself with the umbrella. He hit you with the umbrella, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't really even try to shield himself. I mean, as you saw in the video, as everyone has seen, I simply asked him a simple question. And holding his umbrella, all of a sudden he like shoves it in my face, and I was holding the camera, and he shoves it at my face where the camera was. So you know what we're seeing from Bill O'Reilly is the same thing we always see. I mean, he says he's fair and balanced, but I mean, he is really fair and balanced if he couldn't even get his story straight that I was shooting with a high-def camera instead of a cell phone camera. So you know, it's just another example of the type of person he is, and the type of the people that the 1% are, the type of the people that thousands of people from around the country converged on D.C. to send this 1% a message that we're fed up, and we're not going to sit back and be silent about it anymore.
Were you knocked over or just sort of knocked off balance? It was hard to tell.
Well, I said my feet were dry now. I didn't get knocked to the ground. He did put when he attacked me with the umbrella. It's so funny saying I was attacked by an umbrella. He did knock me off the sidewalk onto the street, and I landed in a big puddle. So that's why I made the joke about I have dry socks on now.
Now, the one thing he may have you on, you didn't say who you were. You just addressed him like as if you had that right to do that as a normal human being.
I thought that I had that right to do that. Absolutely.
I was just thinking the number of times people stopped me on the street today. I think it was about 6, and I didn't assume that any of them were going to try to turn me into a modern-day John Lennon. I mean, my God, the delusion of grandeur. We'll leave that for a second. Given the number of times he's run that scam where his producers ambush people, and not with small cameras, but with crews and everything on a big studio-quality camera, were you surprised that that was his reaction to you rather than just sort of maybe ignoring you? It's not a long walk from the Willard to the White House.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I think I was definitely surprised, and I think you can hear that in the video. I'm like, Mr. O'Reilly, why are you doing this to me? I mean, why are you attacking me with your umbrella? I was shocked. You know, I was telling someone earlier, it's not every day you meet Bill O'Reilly, and it's not every day you get attacked by an umbrella. So, I mean, I was completely shocked at the situation. You would think someone that's in the public spotlight, just like he is, just like you are, would not react that way. Like you said, people come up to you all the time and ask to take your picture, or they video you, and even if they don't agree with you, you're a decent human being. You don't attack them and then try to accuse them of attacking them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like I said, it's another example of the type of person Bill O'Reilly is. You know, he's the main informant for the 1%, and it's just sad. People like him, they need to be checked, and I'm glad that we had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, Glenn Beck has a bodyguard with him whenever he goes out on the streets of New York, and as you know, that sounds crazy, but I can understand why he does that. But you have to do it one way or the other. If you really think you're in jeopardy, then you have somebody a security person who walks with you, and maybe he holds you at the distance so you can't, you know, throw the camera at the guy's head or whatever it is they think you're going to do, or you just go and make your way through the public venues of this country the way anybody else would.
Absolutely.
The last point there, at the end of it, he admitted this in the comment, he was trying to get you arrested by the White House security people?
Yes, he actually pointed at me and said, I want to press charges against this man. I heard him say he attacked me. You know, and I was standing there with the White House police, and they saw it too. They knew I didn't do anything wrong, you know. But it was just a unique situation, and I saw him, and you know, he walked out of the event where Newt Gingrich was having his fundraiser, and I thought it was a simple question just to ask, hey, were you at Newt Gingrich's fundraiser? Because, you know, I mean, who wouldn't want, you know, if he was walking out of the event? So, you know, come to find out he wasn't.
Nope.
But yeah, I mean, I just was asking him a simple question, and, you know, we see what kind of person he is. And like I said, you know, he's an example of, you know, what we in the 99% are against. We're against misinformation. You know, we had 150 activists from Wisconsin that took a bus up here to come let their members of Congress, like Paul Ryan and Sean Duffy and their Senator Ron Johnson, know that we're sick of this. And just like, you know, we're sick of this, we were outside of Newt Gingrich's fundraiser, making sure our voice was heard, and Bill O'Reilly just happened to be there.
So he, at the end there, was trying to get you conceivably charged with, I suppose, damaging his umbrella with your body. I mean, I
am a pretty strong man. I mean,
he jabbed it at you, not to get petty on this, but clearly he wasn't trying to kill you or anything with it, but who knows what happens when you get hit. Did you consider pressing charges against him?
You know, that's the last thing I would want to do. Now, I will say this, Keith. I will, as a sign of and a symbol of an apology, I will gladly accept one of the Spin Stops Here umbrellas that are exclusively sold on Bill O'Reilly's Christmas website. So as a sign of apology, I would take that. But pressing charges, there's no need to do that. I think that takes away from the real issue, in that there are many people around this country who are unemployed, who are underemployed, and they're ready to fight back.